So far, this Christmas was the best of Chat Noir's life. Instead of sitting around at home, he was with Ladybug, and they were doing something to help others. For the past week, they'd asked school children to make cards for people who felt lonely for Christmas. They'd collected bags and bags, and had spent most of the morning handing them out to nursing homes, homeless shelters, even people on the street who looked like they could use a smile. Chat Noir hid a sigh from Ladybug. Their bags were empty, and it was time to go home. Time to go back to the empty mansion, while all his other friends were at home or visiting family. "I have one more card I wanted to deliver," Ladybug said, reaching deep into her bag. It was red and velvet with white trim, and it was so large that she almost disappeared inside it. When she popped her head back out, her cheeks were pink, and she held up a bright green card. Red letters splashed across the cover, spelling "Merry Christmas," and they looked hand-painted with care. Was that a heart on the dotted I? "I made this one myself," she announced, face growing pinker, "and I know exactly who it should go to." "Who?" he asked. He craned his neck to get a better look at the card, but she hugged it against her chest and blocked it from his view. "Remember how sad Adrien was last year?" Chat Noir's heart stuttered. "Adrien aggressed?" "Yeah, we should bring this card I made to him. Don't you think he would love it?" Without waiting to hear what he thought, though he knew for a fact that Adrien would love a handmade card from her, she hopped to the next roof and started running in the direction of his house. Adrien wasn't going to be there to greet her. Adrien wouldn't get a card from Ladybug that she had lovingly made herself and wanted to deliver in person. Chat Noir said as he scrambled to catch up with her. "I don't know that Adrien really needs a card this year. Did you see how happy he looked last week when that Akuma was after him?" Ladybug threw a questioning look over her shoulder. "You weren't even there. How do you know what he looked like?" "All these pictures," he said quickly. He'd been beaming in every single one of them because Ladybug had insisted on staying by his side until he was safe. She ducked under a snow-covered branch, using her yo-yo string to swing off of it. He was right behind her, unfortunately, and he was just in time to receive a generous faceful of falling snow. He yelped and started brushing it off of himself. Ladybug turned around quickly to help him. "Sorry," she said, wiping at his hair with one hand. She was careful to avoid his fake ears, and careful to keep the precious card well out of the way of the snow. "I think I might need to go home and get cleaned up," Chat Noir said, struck by a sudden idea. "Oh, you're such a cat, it's just a little snow. I know Adrien would love to see you too," she said. "But I could catch a cold!" He gave a small cough and tried to make it sound convincing. "Can't help you fight Akumas if I'm sick. I'll remind you of that the next time you start a snowball fight like yesterday's." Chat Noir pouted. "It was a snowball war, and I still say I won." "Sure." Ladybug flicked a glob of snow off his cheek, the warmth of her fingers chasing away the cold spot. "Now come on," she said, grabbing his wrist. "He should still be at home. Let's go." Chat Noir let himself be dragged up the tree and onto the nearest roof. How was he going to get that card? No ideas came to him as they drew closer and closer to his home. No light bulb moment happened as they hopped over the fence. As Ladybug peered into his bedroom window, the only thought he had was, "I wish I were inside right now so I could watch her look for me." "That's it! Look for Adrien!" "Hey," Chat Noir said. He turned and squinted off into the distance like he was interested in something far down the street. "I think I see him." "Where?" Ladybug turned, holding onto the window frame to keep her balance. "I don't see anything." "He just turned a corner," Chat Noir said. He jumped down, pulling out his baton at the last second to save himself, and propelled himself just as quickly back up into the air. "He's a block or two away, but we should be able to catch up easily." A few seconds later, they landed on a balcony overlooking the corner he'd pointed out. It offered a good view in all directions. "I don't see him." Ladybug swung her head, searching each way Adrien could have taken, looking everywhere except for where Adrien actually was, right beside her. The card was tucked safely against her chest. It had been taken across the city, but she'd been holding onto it so carefully that it didn't have a single wrinkle or tear. "He went this way," Chat Noir said, jumping to a lamppost across the street. 2 blocks down, Adrien took a right, then a left, and Ladybug was starting to get suspicious. "How is he outrunning us? Are you sure you saw him?" "Definitely," Chat Noir said. They'd landed at an intersection, and the street before them split into 2 directions. Perfect. "But I didn't see which way he went this time," Ladybug groaned. "Why don't we split up?" Chat Noir said. "I'll take this side and you take that one." She nodded and started sprinting. Chat Noir watched her go, then bolted. He jumped up and over the buildings that separated the 2 roads, pushing himself hard until he was sure he was ahead of her, and then dropped to the ground and transformed back into Adrien. Before he could look around for Ladybug, he heard the telltale zip of her yo-yo string behind him, and suddenly she was right there, a hesitant smile on her face, holding the card out between them. "Merry Christmas, Adrien," she said. He reached for it with trembling fingers. There was a little heart over the eye. "Thank you," he said as he looked up. "What's this for?" Ladybug's smile was soft and hesitant. "Lots of people care about you and want you to be happy. I just wanted you to know." This was the best present Adrian had ever received, and he swallowed against the sudden tightness in his throat. "Merry Christmas," he whispered.